Commanders Declassified. We are back in the building, fresh off of a tie. I guess it's only right. It's Sunday. Lots of people wear ties on Sunday. Nobody wants that to happen in football. And I just want to say, I think the tie rule is the stupidest rule in all of sports. Play until you have a winner. My God, awful, terrible. Anyway, Eric, what do you think about the 2020 game we just saw?
The only tie I want in my life is pad thai, which I might actually go grab now because I'm feeling kind of hungry. Terrible. I hate ties. Ties are it's so I mean, losses obviously are disappointing, but ties are just so anticlimactic and just terrible. And I hate them, and they're the worst. And we tied. And did you see that record of overtime games between the Commanders and Giants? 2-2-2 all time now. Just the worst. And ties, as my name shows, they're worse slightly than 21-yard field goals. I hate those just as much, or almost as much. But man, just so disappointing. Good comeback. I mean, that was we got the Taylor Heineke experience all over again. Clutch plays that wouldn't have been clutch if he could just play better throughout the game. It sucks. And you got to go, and then we got 2 weeks before a new game we got to sit here and stew on a stupid tie.
Yep.
But honestly, this team is lucky to have a tie because the way this game was going for the most part, like they didn't really deserve to win for sure. Yeah. Luckily, the Giants aren't that great either. Really disappointing in general.
You know what this game really made me think about is
hanging yourself, probably. So it made me think of it. Ending the misery.
Whichever team gets a quarterback first is going to be the team that might control this division for several years.
Exactly.
The Giants need some help at receiver too, but their offensive coordinator was protecting Daniel Jones as if he were a kindergartner crossing the street. I mean, holy crap. Like they just didn't even want to put the ball in harm's way with him whatsoever. But Brian, what are your thoughts on the game, man?
This was it was such a waste. This is a beatable team. The Giants, they got a bunch of people back healthy. And I mean, look, for all the Daniel Jones running the football, the Saquon Barkley, they put up 20 points just like we did. They couldn't put us away. They thought they could, but they couldn't. This was a beatable team. This was an opportunity to be up 3 games above 500 and heading into a bye week with confidence, with everything in front of you. And this just kind of muddies the water. I mean, this is such a wasted opportunity. And, on the pregame, Ellie, you were asking everybody what you were afraid of. I was afraid of the coaching staff because our coaching staff just isn't sharp enough to understand their weaknesses and to make adjustments quickly in game. And there were so many chances that we could have had that we could have actually put together a lead and continue to build on that lead, but we didn't do it. We squandered chance after opportunity after chance, and we ended up with a tie. And now we've got to sit with this tie and figure out how we can beat the Giants again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and we could come out of the bye week completely out of the playoffs, depending on what the Seahawks and Giants do while they're playing, while we're sitting around. Look, the Giants weren't doing anything on offense, really, right? Outside of Saquon and Daniel Jones, as we talked about. You gotta take advantage of that. Our offense has to put up points on the board. The miss near the end zone that Heineke had, he had a few bad misses, I think, in the red zone.
Yeah,
just it kills us. It nearly killed us last week. And the other thing I'm gonna say is, I think you're starting to see some chinks in the armor of this ground and pound offense and then play defense system here. The last couple of weeks, it's really come down to the last play of the game. And okay when you're playing not great teams, but the better the competition, the more this is not going to work. We have to figure out our offense. We're hiding our offense right now behind the run game. And that's good, but we don't have any explosiveness in the run game. So then you're not manufacturing points. You're just occupying time on the clock. That is not going to get it done, especially when you start getting into late December and you got to get ready for the playoffs. And then you're going to play teams who aren't as bad offensively as we are. You see what the Eagles are doing. The Eagles are putting up numbers on everybody. And yes, we beat them on Monday night. The Eagles got their act together now. They're ready to roll. They're getting in playoff form. We got to figure this thing out offensively. And Scott Turner, no creativity, no effective creativity, because he gets creative at the wrong time. And we were one idiotic Giants play away from disaster today when Saquon and that receiver ran into each other in the backfield.
Yeah.
We have got to be better. I thought the defense did everything they could, all things considered, in stopping the Giants. But the offense has got to put up points. I mean, Saquon's going to get his. He's a really good running back. Daniel Jones is a really effective runner. Outside of that, they didn't give up a ton. But our offense didn't help us today. And that last-minute drive where we were beating up on those practice squad cornerbacks, and I'm glad we did it. But we got to be better because we're going to play better, especially if we're talking playoffs here. Eric, give me your thoughts on Heineke's performance in full today. I know you talked about it a little bit. Give me a little bit more there.
It's a typical Taylor Heineke performance. That's all I can say. He makes big plays in crucial moments, but he just doesn't make routine plays consistently enough to warrant him being like the long-term guy here. He has the flair for the dramatic, which is awesome. It's fun to watch, but at some point you just have to be a decent quarterback. And he ended up with solid numbers. I think he was like 27 out of 40, which is way too many passes for him.
Mm-hmm.
But he had 270, 275, something like that yards, 2 touchdown passes, had the fumble, I don't know that the fumble was really on him. If a guy takes it off your hand as you're ready to come forward, didn't really have a pocket to step up into in that situation. But overall, it's a Taylor Heineke type performance. So you take from that what you will. I'm not gonna heap praise on him, and I'm not going to just drag him through the mud because he does make plays when he has to. But I just wish he could be a little more consistent. But I don't think he ever will be because he is who he is.
Yeah.
I also would not be surprised to see Carson Wentz starting out of the bye either. Not saying he will, but it would not surprise me one bit that if they were to go back to Wentz after the bye.
Yeah.
For me, it would be, if Heineke just went out there and just, threw it into triple coverage, for Terry 3 different times, got 3 interceptions. Yeah, it would be easy to be like, yep, he's the cause. But some of the offensive play calling in situations in this game, it was just baffling to see what we were doing. Like we started to run early and then we kind of went away from it, and we just kind of went to our pass game. The Giants are bringing a heavy rush, but we continue to drop Heineke back 5-step, 7-step drop, waiting for these deeper shots down the field. We talked about it. Ellie, you said this should be a game where Gibson gets a bunch of catches and he can turn those into big plays. Well, didn't nobody get any kind of catches? We just kept trying for these deeper shots, and certainly we connected on a few deeper plays, but they ended up turning out to be sacks, or not sacks, but fumbles or just bad plays. And we never adjusted. We never moved the pocket. We never went to a quick passing game. And, it's kind of hard, to be like, well, the quarterback's got to play better. Well, we've got to put the quarterback in better situations, and we've got to be consistent with the run game. If that's what we're going to be and what we're doing, then stick with it and be consistent all the way through the entire game, because this game was a 1-score game. There was no reason to get away from it at times where we did. And it just kind of made things harder on ourselves. And the coaches aren't supposed to do that. It's one thing for a player to make it harder on himself, but the coaches are supposed to make it easy for the players. They're supposed to put them in better positions. And I just don't feel like that happened on defense or offense today.
Yeah, it was. I'm okay with what the defense did. I'm going to be real. I'm okay with what the defense did. Jamin Davis had a fumble recovery. They brought some pressure when they needed to. I thought Payne was outstanding today. I'm okay with the defense. You give up 20 points in this league, you should win, generally speaking, most weeks. One thing that I think is really, really, really bothering us as an offense is that we have an effective running game, meaning we're going to be a 4.5 yard to carry when we're really good, which was, the last couple of weeks. But we're not creating any big plays in the run game. We're just not. And, our quarterback is not the type that's going to deliver you big play after big play, right? We know that. Because the more you throw it downfield, the higher you're going to risk an interception, especially with a guy like this. So if we can't get big plays out of our passing game and we can't get big plays out of a running game, now you're 19 points. I mean, today, again, 20 points, right? We have to solve that problem. And maybe this is where we're missing J.D. McKissic. Maybe McKissic in a game like this today would have been outstanding. I don't know. But I don't know if you can fix it this year, but you got to fix that issue. We need explosiveness out of our backfield from the quarterback or our running backs somewhere. The ground and pound is great, but you have to generate points out of your run game. And we're just not doing that effectively right now. All right, Terry McLaurin, 8 catches, 105 yards, a touchdown. He had an outstanding game, especially early on. The Giants put him one-on-one with Fabian Moreau. Why, I don't know, but he was getting toasted. Curtis Samuel, 6 catches, 63 yards. Most of his yardage came on that last drive. I think it was 2 catches that he had that were relatively big catches. Jahan Dotson, 5 catches, 54 yards. Again, his big play came on that final drive where he scored that touchdown, which was absolutely amazing. Antonio Gibson, 2 catches, 20 yards. Logan Thomas, 3 catches, 20 yards. Now, if you look at the Giants, Saquon Barkley, 18 carries, 63 yards, and a touchdown. You'll take that from this defense. You'll take that. Daniel Jones, 13 carries, 70 yards. Darius Slayton, 6 catches, 90 yards. Hodgins, 5 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley, 5 catches, 18 yards. You'll take that because, if you're limiting Barkley to 18 yards on 5 catches, 3.6 yards a catch, you'll take that all day. I thought the defense played well.
Yeah. Good.
I was going to say no complaints from the defense. You're right. If you hold a team to 20 points in the NFL today, with the ways the rules are, there's no reason you shouldn't win that game unless your team averages 19 points a game, which ours does. Our offense is definitely the problem, and the ground and pound. I think you were saying it earlier, Ellie. The ground and pound, play good defense, that works. When you play an explosive offense, like when you go up against Dallas Cowboys, that's not going to cut it because you're not going to hold Dallas, to 20 points most likely. Unless your defense is just absolutely on point, and even then, they have a defense that's gonna go after your offense. This offense is really going to struggle against San Francisco. Not that San Francisco's offense is super explosive with Jimmy Garoppolo running the show, but they're good enough. And that defense is probably going to limit our offense. They're very good at pressure. Their linebackers are excellent. Their D-line is excellent. They're good across the board. We're gonna have a hard time with that. So, winning today would have been a huge step. And as we say right now, I'm not going to assume any more wins this season. Ron is a 7-win coach, so we're at 7. We'll see how it goes, but hopefully he can prove us wrong. But today was a golden opportunity for a win, and this is a game that, as poorly as they played, they really had a chance to win, and just didn't. It's very disappointing.
Yeah, if you would have told me that we're keeping Saquon Barkley to 60, I thought he was going to have 80, 90 yards rushing. He had 60-something yards today. Daniel Jones, 71 yards rushing. That was it. Just barely 200 yards passing. I would have been like, well, we win that game. We win that game. And, we struggled yet again for this 20-point offense. And it's something has to change here. Scott Turner's got to change and adjust what he's doing. Like, the run game is changing. For me, it's got to be this pass game. We can't be still trying to force this deep passing game and combine it with this ground and pound. We've got to change what we're doing, the slants, the crossing routes, rub routes. We've got to incorporate that into the offense because we can't have Taylor Heineke hold the ball as long as he does. It's not going to work. And Jimmy Garoppolo's out of the football game right now. Brock Purdy is in at quarterback. So we may not have to see Jimmy Garoppolo.
We still might not score enough points to beat them.
True. Very true.
Look, Our last 4 games, we play the Giants again. That is a must win if there's ever a must win if you're considering playoffs. You have the 49ers. Excellent defense, excellent run game, Debo Samuel. So it really doesn't matter who's quarterback in that offense. Kyle Shanahan can find a way to put up points. Then you play the Browns. The Browns kicked the Texans' tail today, and their offense was awful. Their defense is really, really good when they want to be. And you have to assume that Deshaun Watson's going to get better the more he plays. So he's got 3 games to get back into the swing of things before we play them. That's a dangerous game, guys. And then we finish with the Cowboys. And Eric, you already said it. You know the Cowboys aren't going to win the division this year. So they're going to be fighting for playoff seeding and potential home field event. So they're going to play that day. You know? So there's no cupcakes left. So you got to get – so first of all, we needed this one today too. We had the ball in overtime with a chance to win. And we couldn't get it
And
done.
you really needed maybe 5 yards to get in the field goal range.
Yeah.
You just couldn't pick up another yard.
Right.
Very, very frustrating.
When you get that late Jahan touchdown, would you guys have gone for 2?
No.
No.
I would not have, because there was a ton of time left on the clock.
Right.
And it kind of changes their game plan, because the Giants can be a little more aggressive, knowing that they're going for overtime, or that the worst case scenario is overtime. So that's why I think you saw them pushing the ball downfield more, like they were on that drive after that they went 3 and out on, just because they know that worst case scenario is a tie or overtime. Whereas if they're down 1, they're going to probably be much more methodical in their offense, get downfield, get in the field goal range. Just in my opinion.
Yeah. Agreed.
Wouldn't have been mad if we had gone for 2 and gotten it, but I don't trust this offense to get a 2-point conversion either.
Very true.
Right. So look at our scores the last couple of games. Since the Chicago game. 23 points against the Packers. Yeah, basically 23 points against the Packers, and I believe, did I include a defensive touchdown that game or no?
No, that was just offense.
No, are you sure?
Yeah, it was 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals.
Oh,
defensive score came against Philly. That's what pushed us over 30.
17 against the Colts, who are awful. 17 against the Vikings. 32 against the Eagles. That was a defensive touchdown in that game. Maybe 2. Was it 2? Something like that. Anyway, 23 against the Texans, who are awful. 19 against the Falcons and 20 against the Giants. Guys, not good enough.
Yep.
I'm not putting that on one player.
And the 23 against the Texans included a defensive touchdown.
Exactly. There's nothing to celebrate about this offense, guys. We have to get better. If you like just being able to say we got the W on Sundays, that's cool. But if you want to be a team that makes noise in the playoffs in January and February, we got to have more, period. Your defense is doing enough to play in the playoffs right now. You got to get more from the offense. There's no exception to that. Period.
And that's why I think that Carson Wentz might be the guy coming out of the. They're going to look for that X factor, and I think they may very well go back to Wentz over the bye week.
Do we think the offense? Do we think the offense changes or anything with Wentz coming back? It just
we'll throw more.
Yeah.
Well, look, the only thing that works with this current offense are slants and in routes right now. And the in route is a route that he gets picked off once a game. He didn't today, but generally once a game, right? You have 2 throws that you can make in this offense right now. So Wentz is going to bring a lot more throws, but to your point, Brian, you're going to risk more sacks. That's just the trade-off. But I'm not advocating for anything right now because I think I need to spend some time with this one before I overreact to it. But I can tell you the scores we just read off against those teams that we played is not going to get it done, period. So we'll see. I mean, look, you got to go down fighting, though. If you're going to miss the playoffs, and I don't think we should miss them. I think we have to try to get there. You got to go down fighting. And I don't know that 19 points a game is fighting, Brian.
Well, it's not, and you were saying the trade-off with the Wentz and his sacks. Yeah, Wentz will take sacks, but see, that's the whole thing. It shouldn't have to be a trade-off. Like Scott Turner's got to be able to adjust this thing and say, hey, all right, these are things that you do well. These are things that you don't do well. These are things that I like, maybe aren't good for the team. Let me adjust it. Let me start incorporating some of these shorter routes, some more quick game. But just to not have any options. That's either we roll with Heineke, or now we take this other less attractive option that also has potential big risk to it in terms of sacks and fumbles and things like that with Wentz, just for the hope of a big touchdown play here or there. It shouldn't be that difficult, but unfortunately it's going to be like that with Scott Turner. Whoever we have, there's going to be an issue with whatever offense it is that we run, whether it's the pass offense or if it's the ground and pound. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
And I would say something that really irritates me that I didn't hear anybody say today. Like, I no reaction, but it drove me nuts. Brian Robinson made a gigantic mistake on the first drive of the game.
Yeah,
did you guys see that? When he thought he was going out of bounds, but he just kind of gave up on a run and left probably 7 or 8 yards on the field.
That was a score.
That was huge.
Yeah,
he lowered his head. Really good run. Then just kind of walked out of bounds. It drove me insane. And the announcers didn't say anything about it. I didn't really see much about it on Twitter. Just a wild mistake, just a bad mistake that really cost us some points. And it would have put B-Rob over 100 yards, I believe. So that's really frustrating, and I'm really curious what people have to say about that.
Yeah, he literally could have walked in because there was a receiver in front of him who was blocking. Like, he would just have to walk in, and he just steps out of bounds. That was a bad move on him, and especially when you don't score any points, that was an easy touchdown that we could have had, and we just missed it. Yeah, that was bad on him.
Something we haven't talked about, but you can directly attribute this to the reason we lost. Joey Sly missed that field goal. And if you make that field goal, it's not even a conversation right now. We're talking Dub City.
Yeah, but you that's a tough one because it's not like, it was a 55. That's not a chip shot, and that's a low percentage kick in general. He has made more of those than he's missed this year. So I'm not going to pin it directly on that. Obviously you got to have it and you need to make those kicks, but it's not like, you're playing the percentages, and he's made 6 of those in a row. He's due to miss, and you saw Gano. I mean, you could say the same thing. He missed a 58 that would have won it. But that's not an easy kick to make, especially in a stadium that's known for its wacky wind. So I don't put a lot of stock in that. I put more stock in the fact that we had to kick a 21-yard field goal on the first drive as to why we lost.
Another trend I'm noticing, guys, is this whole defense lives and dies with that defensive line. And that makes me nervous too. Like, it's been effective so far, but if you can contain the D line, and we're going back to a team like San Francisco that has a Trent Williams on the offensive line, there's opportunities to hit plays. The Giants, first of all, we got to get St. Juice back in a hurry before we start playing the Clevelands, Dallas. Who else do we play? San Francisco, right? Because that catch, I think it was to Richie James on Christian Holmes. That should have never been a catch.
That was bad. Yeah, I don't know what he was doing there.
He was boxing out.
I thought if he thought he was like blocking a gunner on a punt or something, like, I don't know what he was doing. Just go for the ball at that point. Like, he was looking at the ball. That was the funny thing. And he was just like waiting for it to fall. Like, he had a really good play on the ball. Yeah. Weird.
Jeez. Yeah.
And he got beat again on that touchdown. That stick route is tough to cover.
It is.
And a lot of really good corners get beat on that route, but he could have played that a little better. Danny Johnson came in and played okay, but if Danny Johnson's already been benched this year.
Right.
So, it's only a matter of time. Yeah, I think you're right. St. Juice really needs to come back quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, it's a tie, so I don't want to act, overly doom and gloom, but when you're playing for the playoffs, you got to have it. The Seahawks are playing the Rams right now with a backup quarterback. So you have to assume that they're going to figure out a way to pull that game out, and which place puts us outside of the AFC, I believe. So, yeah, look, coming out of that bye week, that Giants game, holy crap, you cannot afford to lose that game. If we do, it's going to be tough for us. Brian was talking about 50%, 60% playoffs. I bet it goes down to the 30s if we lose that Giants game next week. Next time we play after the bye week. So
the Giants have the Eagles next week. So go Philly, fly Eagles, fly for at least this week.
Giants play Vikings, and then they play
the Vikings next week.
Yep. Giants go.
No, I got them as playing Eagles. Giants Eagles Sunday, December 11th.
Oh,
Giants Eagles December 11th. Yeah. Maybe the Vikings after that.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, I mean the Eagles are running over everybody right now, but you never know. I'll look at this. Yeah, so the Giants?
Giants get the Eagles, then us, then the Vikings, then the Colts, and finish up with the Eagles. So they got 2 left against the Eagles. So hopefully that's 2 losses. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Commanders got to beat them next time coming out.
That last game against the Eagles aren't playing anybody. They're going to have this whole thing wrapped up by that point, especially if they beat the Giants next week. They're done, because they're 11-1 right now. So by the time that last game comes around, they're resting everybody. So you have to assume that's a cakewalk game for the Giants. So look at this. If we lose to the Giants are theoretically going to go 3-1 down the stretch. You know what I'm saying? Well, no, I'm sorry. After the Eagles game, yes. When we play the Giants again, the Giants will probably win 3 out of the 4 to finish. You know what I'm saying? Because the Eagles are probably resting their starters that last game of the season. So ain't no way we can lose this game and expect good things.
We'll see about that 3 out of 4. I mean, they're playing Minnesota. They play Philly. I know you're chalking up a win to Philly, but they do play the Giants, and I forgot already. Hang on.
If they beat us, Eric, that's one. I'll give them a loss to the Vikings, even though the Vikings clinched the playoffs today, I believe, or came close to it. So the Vikings may not have a lot to play for, but I think
December they got the Colts.
Started. Yeah,
they got the Colts January 1st, so you might be right.
Exactly. So that's 2. And then if the Eagles don't play anybody because they got the whole home field wrapped up, what are they playing for? So that's 3. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so they may. Well, okay, home field might come in. I mean, you realize the Vikings still have 2 losses as well. So the Vikings could very well be in contention going into the final week for home field, depending on how their season goes.
Yeah. So if the Giants beat the Vikings, even if they lose to the Eagles, now we got a real problem.
And now the Giants are beating the Vikings? Come on, man.
No. I'm saying if they do. Now let's take a look at the Seahawks real quick. All right, Seahawks.
Because the Vikings is the Colts, the Giants, the Packers, and the Bears. So that's a very, very 4-0 in that stretch is very doable.
Yeah. The Giants the Seahawks, excuse me. They play the Panthers next week. That's a dub. They got the 49ers. I'll say that's a loss. They got the Chiefs. That's a loss. Then they got the Jets and the Rams to finish up. So they're going to win those 2. The Rams are just, I mean, they're so far out of it. What are they doing? Right.
Well, the Jets, I don't think the Jets is a guaranteed win.
That's a dub.
Jets play very good defense.
Yeah, but their offense sucks. That's a dub, especially with the playoffs on the line for the Seahawks. It's a dub. I mean, you have to assume. You have to assume. So let's run this out real quick. So that's 1. I'm saying 2, 3 more wins. So the Seahawks plus a win today are going to win potentially 11 games this year. 11 games. That's why a tie
potentially
like
11 games.
Yeah,
they're not winning 11 games.
But
they might win 11 games.
But this was the opportunity that this team had in front of them. Instead of doing all of that, well, this team has to win this game. Whose schedule is this? Win the game today. That's all you had to do. Win the game today. And this becomes less of an issue, and they could not do it. And that's what I'm struggling with here. What does Ron Rivera do? I already saw some clips. Looks like he was frustrated at the press conference. But what does he do? Does he just sit back and say, "So everything looks good to me. Nothing to see here," like that Leslie Nielsen meme where the building's on fire and he's just like, "Nothing to see here, folks." What does he do? Does he actually make some changes? Does he do anything, or does he just kind of let everything sit another week and then we go and lay an egg against the Giants at home? Like, what does he do now?
I think he switches to Carson Wentz. I really do. I think he's gonna make the switch this time. It won't surprise me at all.
Yeah, you're making a playoff stretch. You see what your offense is doing. You all, we are in such a desperate position coming off of this tie, in my opinion, that you
Yeah.
almost have to do something drastic to try to spark the offense to get you to the playoffs.
It's
Which
code red. It's code red.
dude,
Yeah.
it's hard not to when you look at the schedule of the other folks that we play.
Yeah.
We got one gimme, I think, on the calendar. No, we don't have a gimme on the calendar. I take that back. We have the Giants again. And today was supposed to be our gimme. So we'll see. The Giants are what we are, but they just have a softer schedule than we do going forward. So all right. Let's so we got a bye week next week, so we can get more to the playoff scenario during the bye week podcast. Make sure you're locked in, subscribed, stay tuned, tell a friend to tell a friend. What else do we say? Get us to 1,000 subs. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers. Make sure you subscribe and get us there. We appreciate your support. Brian, give me your final thoughts, please.
Final thoughts that this loss is squarely for me on Ron Rivera and this coaching staff. It's not about a quarterback or the defense or the run game. We know what the quarterback. We have a backup playing as a starter. We know that's not anything new. We know that our pass game needs work, but the situational play calling has got to be better. And if Ron is recognizing that our tackles are getting beat because we're calling these deep drop play, he needs to go to Scott Turner and say, hey, you got to cut it out. You got to make some changes. This has to be better. We can't do this. And he's just sitting there watching it happen, watching it unfold. If our guys are running underneath that outside blocker and letting Daniel Jones run around the edge, Ron's got to step up and say something. He can't just sit there and watch with his arms
on that play too.
Yeah, he may have been, but we still made that mistake of going under the guy. Like, you got to stand your ground and go for the quarterback. We let that same thing. Eric, you talked about it last week, and we didn't do it. We didn't do it again this week. So this is Ron. Ron's got to figure out some things here. He's got to make some changes, and he has made changes in the bye weeks and seasons past. We'll see if he does anything this week. Last year, he made some big changes, and we went on a 4-game win streak. We'll see what he does this one, because if he wants to have a season, he's got to make some changes, some big ones.
I would, 8 games is the threshold. I refuse to hope until we hit 8 wins. then I'll start dreaming of playoffs at this point, because, man, if there was ever a day to get an 8th win, it was today, because the Giants is they're a very well coached team, but they're just talent wise, they're not there. The wide receiver position isn't good. Their secondary isn't good, but we just couldn't take advantage, and that is extremely frustrating. Ties are the worst.
Think about what you just said, though. The Giants don't have talent.
I never think about what I say.
They don't have talent, and they're still going neck and neck with us, who do have talent. Coaching. So back to Brian's point, amen. It's the coaching is the difference that you're seeing on the field. We got to step it up. Eric, any other final thoughts?
The only thing I hate more than ties is bye week. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself next week. Maybe I'll go on vacation or something, but I need more football in my life. So maybe I'll watch some good football by, taking in some other teams.
Yeah.
See you in 2 weeks.
You watch some game tape of Michael Penix Jr.
We'll save that for another pod.
Yeah, off-season pod. We're not there yet, man.
We better be drafting guards in round 1 and tackles.
Oh, it's for sure with Cosme getting hurt again. I mean, he's not a starter anymore. He is a backup. It's going to be a first-round offensive lineman.
It better be a first-round offensive lineman. And a second.
The Cosme kid.
I would say third, but we're going to have one of those.
No.
I think it's already gone. I think we will. No, wait. No, the second is what we kept. You're right. All right. Anyway, look, not the end of the world today, guys, but you can't afford to drop the ball anymore because of what these other teams have on their schedule. So we have to beat the Giants. Anybody who tells you different is lying to your face. It's a home game, and we got to win it, period. Take the bye week, get yourselves right. Make sure you come back focused with a game plan that's going to work, not just tuck and run. We got to have a real offense. We'll see who's under center. I'm not ready yet to say that they're going to bench Heineke. Eric is. I got to think about it for a couple more days, and then we'll figure it out. Ron's not going to tell you before next week, though. I can promise you that much. And, we'll see. But, all right, fellas. Long day of football. Enjoy the night games. And, if you're listening, make sure you're subscribed. Don't just hang around and listen because you like it. Hit the subscribe button. It's not that hard.
Commanders247.com.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, when we tie, instead of left hand up, do we go both hands up? Like, we're the Commanders and we tie.
We do this. We shrug.
All right.
Both shoulders up.
Shrug emoji.
Yeah.
All right, Commanders Nation. We're out of here. See ya.